Well, hello, everybody. Nice to see you today. I'm Becky Raney. This is my husband, Larry, and we are delighted to have our amazing friend, Don Hale, here with us today with Keller Williams Realty. And he is a broker agent, and you've been doing this for quite some time now. I think you said, what, 14, 15 years, or was it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, incredible. And we've known you a lot longer than that. We've known you back in I think we decided 1992 when you started your business. And
oh
we
my gosh, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I look at the victories in my life to tell people about who I am. I've got 3 beautiful children, the most incredible wife, had a thriving business, sold it, and now I have a thriving real estate business. Very much have a spiritual perspective in God and Christ. And it's so important to me. I can't help but share it sometimes. And what that equates to in business, of course, is just a high sense of morality and doing things right. And a whole lot of energy I sometimes don't know what to do with.
Yeah. That's one thing that I really like about you is your openness to your faith. And I think that like we were talking the other day when we were having
Yeah.
coffee together, you talked about your daily method of operations, like what you do. And I think you said you always start your day with prayer and really
Yeah.
connecting. And tell us a little bit more about like your DMO.
Well, yeah. So I get up and shame on me, but I do check my emails. And I wake up at 4:35 every morning. I can't help it. I don't know what's going on. And then I go out to the front couch and I make sure I spend about 20 minutes in prayer. I might read some inspiring words and thoughts to help direct that. And then, and if someone's asked me for prayer, I'll pray for them at that time too. Although I do that throughout the day. I always say when someone prays for you, ask for prayers, do it right then. Anyhow, so and then I I have my little caffeine drink and get on with it. And then I'm an athlete. I mean, I don't know how good an athlete, but I work out with weights 3 times heavy a week. I have a personal trainer that I employ on 1 to 2 of those days a week. On the other days, I'll try to take the dog for a long walk. Like today, this is my off day on weight, so I took for about 3.95 miles. I wanted to get to 4, but I didn't get it. But that's in the back side of a nearby trail that's pretty up and down. It's not like a flat walk, so I'm just into that. And my daily routine. Then I read somewhere that 2 hours after you wake up, maybe a little bit more, then you're ready for the day. You can't like wake up half an hour and then be ready for the day and go to work. That's what I read. I think it's true. And then my day would be checking in. My team has a meeting at 8:30 every morning, so we do a Zoom there, and that's great because it starts it off right. And then I come to the office if I'm not already there. Coming to the office is got to be part of my routine. I am no good at home because all of a sudden the dog wants out. All of a sudden, my wonderful, wonderful wife, who I adore, says something like, "Honey, real quick, could you feed the dog for me? I've got to do a little errand." And anyhow, and also kind of a social being, I like having people around me. So that takes up. Now, in a normal environment, I am then going into my lead generation mode from 9 to 11. For about 8 of the 15 years, religiously, I called 20 people on the phone, person to person a day, or I went out and saw them. If I only got to 10, I'd go out and see 10 people and talk to them about real estate. I always have business lunches. It's pretty crazy, but it's just a wonderful time to socialize, which I enjoy, but also to create relationships. I don't kind of look at it like I'm trying to get business then. And then the afternoon, I'll go on appointments, showing houses or talking to people, or I will be instructing my team. I will take them aside and go over some of the scripts and that I want them to learn to make sure they know. And then we also, as a real estate agent, work when people are not working, right? And so then sometimes I'll go out and see people in their homes at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, or show some properties. I don't like to do that as much. Now I have a team that can do some of that for me. That's like a weekday, if you want to know DOM for a weekday, it's a lot less structured on Saturday. And then Sunday morning, I teach Sunday school. So I do a lot of deep prayer for that and get out. And then, so I'm prepared for my 14-year-old boys. And then, that's a whole story, right? And then I also have to make sure I spend time with my wife. I could be a workaholic, but I so treasure my marriage that I make sure that I have time there.
Wow, it's incredible. And you had mentioned about your team that you don't do so much open houses and stuff. You have a team. How many people on your team?
Well, that's a really good question. As you might know too, Becky and Larry, how many productive people do I have on my team might be a better question. But I have 6 or 7 on the team and 3 productive agents,
Mhm,
right? People, but the others are learning and growing, and I respect that, and we're training them.
mhm.
So, ask me that again in a year, I might have a whole different answer for you.
And what is the most difficult part as far as having a team, like putting your team together and cultivating it?
Um, Proper hiring is probably my biggest issue. I like everybody, so come on down, be on the team. So I now have taken the step of Rick, my number 1 guy on the team. He has to interview him too.
Yeah.
So we get a better perspective. And there's a whole thing on hiring, right? You get prejudice. I don't care who you are. I don't care. Like if you're hiring a secretary, I don't care if she doesn't know QuickBooks. I don't care if she really knows how to build a spreadsheet and how to get on Zoom. I really like her. Right? I think she'll do well. No, or he'll do well. So hiring right the first time is a big issue. And then inspiring others. I
So
guess.
when you say you employ them, so they're actually employees of yours.
No, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry to do that. I like you have people who that we split the commission with in real estate.
Mhm.
So I don't pay them anything; they actually pay me. So I have to make sure my value is very high. Um, and that's another issue of one of my things is how do I make sure that value is something that they value as much as I do. I often start off the conversation with, I'm going to give you my most valuable thing in the world, and that's my time. I'm going to train you and show you how to make this and make a wonderful living in real estate. And I want you to know that it taken out of my life for you, time
Mhm.
out of my life for you.
Amazing. And so do you find that people sometimes don't respond to the training? I mean, like,
Yes. Oh,
so
absolutely.
they're not
Yeah.
really, since you're their employee in a way,
In
right?
a way,
How do,
yeah.
how do you,
Well, servant leadership, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we had asked earlier before we got on the recording, what is your definition of leadership? You asked me that. I didn't ask you.
Ooh, aren't you smarty? Yeah, leadership is, I heard one definition of leadership is someone who sees what needs to be done and then goes and does it. I like that a lot because then the leader says, oh, if we're going to do this, then I need more people on my team. I need to lead them and show them how to make more money. And then we'll get to our goals and to what we want to accomplish. Leadership is also, it's kind of easy in a way from one perspective, and that is, you lead by example. Well, that's pretty easy. They can see how hard I work and the morals I bring, and hopefully that rubs off and they appreciate that, right? Um, Leadership to me is showing up and doing the work and inspiring others to do their work.
Yeah, showing the way. I love that. It's really, it seems like there's always, you know, different perspectives on that too. I mean, when we were talking about that, I thought, yeah, it's just like we took a whole weekend course on learning what is our definition of leadership. And it could
Yeah.
be many different things with people growing up with different ideas of that and what it is and what it is not. Like what leadership is not, right?
Yes.
We know a lot of that going on today. Um, let's see, what is the hardest part of being a leader and what did you do to overcome it?
Okay, so this is something I think about a lot. What are my weaknesses as a leader? Those things we all try to go for where we're comfortable, right? Maybe we'll do something brave, but then we'll resort right back to being comfortable where we're comfortable. And mine is, I I want to go back to, there's two definitions. There's a definition of love, which is my mantra, my life goal is just to love. In my case, to love like God loves us and to try to feel that as much as I can. However, I also think that's part of, being a really nice guy and never being upset or never, doing it. So the hardest part for me is the love that's nurturing is easy. The love that's, what term do I want to use? The love that's the enforcer, the demander, that part's harder for me, a lot harder. I'm afraid of sometimes of letting people down, or them not liking me. I mean, the goal is to be respected, not loved, or no, I'm sorry, respected, not liked. So, yeah, and however, I have realized that, and so now I can make sure that I'm standing on what is right and the highest sense of love, which is the mother or father who says, clean your room.
Yeah.
I love you, but you need to clean your room because it's the right thing to do. And it's what the standards are in our house. Okay, so what are the standards in our business? You've got to make your calls. You've not been making your calls. What's in the way? How can we get to it? Now, how can we assure you're going to make your calls so that you can make the living that you need to and not let people down in your life? Right? That's very hard for me to do.
Well, and it's always that go to being nice. And sometimes being nice, you just get ran over. Like people just, it's not that they mean to take advantage of you. They just don't have that assignment, like that definition of assignment of repercussions of not doing it. So to speak.
Interestingly enough, in that, okay, so what has made me a success? I got to this level, right? Because I'm a nice guy and people want to do business with me, right? And then to get to the leadership, a higher sense of leadership, I've got to, what has made me a success now can hold me back. So I've got to have the vision to see that I've got to be the enforcer as well. I've got to say, hey, this is the truth. You're not doing your work. We got to figure out a way to do it. Get to it, right?
And so, like you said, having the vision to get to that. So I would call that, there's like this uh, two different levels. Like one of them is a success. Like you have a certain amount of, it's a survival. Like we survive in our
Right.
job.
Yeah.
We show up, and then we have drama, which takes us down to that energy level of drama. And then you have the survival, and then to get to success, you have to be able to step out of that and have that definition. But what takes you into the legacy level?
Legacy. Oh, legacy. Oh, legacy. Oh, I thought about legacy.
If you were to look 10 years from now,
Yeah.
or 10 years ago from where you are now, what would
Yeah.
you tell yourself? Like, what is your legacy that you've got now?
Well, let me tell you my ultimate decision, is on my gravestone, right? I want a real simple. I says, he was a good man.
Mm.
Doesn't have to be he inspired others. He blah, 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 but just he was a good man. That's what I really want to be. So that's kind of my legacy. I want people to say, Grandpa was a good man to my grandkids, right? People I helped out and which I've done. Don was a good man. So that's, if that's a definition of legacy, I think that's it. Now, it's obviously living who I am with integrity and honesty and forthrightness too. And if I'm going to say anything to myself in 10 years, what I'm saying now is probably along those lines. However, it's just part of me. So I don't know if I have to say it to myself. It's already part of me. Right. And then of course, what would you say to yourself 10 years ago? Right. When you were 10 years ago, what would you have said to yourself? I would have said, dude, you're right on track. Keep going. You can't help but win as long as you keep up these standards, i.e. 20 calls a day. That's 50 calls. It's 100 calls a week of person to person. And keep your investments, invest a little more quicker, buy some duplexes, buy some rentals. You can do it now, even though it might seem hard. And then, yeah, so, but from a leadership perspective or a life living perspective, I pretty much had it together then too.
So maybe when you were a senior in high school.
Um, yeah, let it go. Let it go, let it go. What would I say to myself as a senior in high school? I think I was doing things right then. It's surprising. I watched my kids grow up, and I pretty much had it together as a senior in high school too. Boy, what would I say to myself? Invest earlier. Take the chances earlier. Take the chances earlier. Yeah, yeah. I a year after high school, I moved to Boston from Seattle. I did a lot of brave things. So, and that was a wonderful, wonderful experience. You know.
It's interesting how um, the reasons why we didn't invest earlier is the fear of the unknown. Like we just didn't like, it's like, oh, but I need that $10 for this. Or, the small conversations, maybe it was bigger than that, but you know what I mean? It's just like the only the ability to see this far, not this far, right? To be able to really to trust in yourself for the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
amazing.
buy Microsoft. Boy, when I was, well, never mind, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I have that same story when I was managing Kinko's Copies in 1985
Really? Oh,
and
wow.
in Bellevue,
Uh-huh.
Skyland Towers on Northeast 8th Street in Bellevue. And my manager at the time, my regional manager said, invest in Microsoft. They're just right down the road from you. Go down there and check them out. And I'm like, nah, it's PC
What?
stuff.
Yeah,
Who wants to invest in it?
yeah,
They're not going to last. But it's just interesting how that
yeah.
our filters, like you said, the things that get you to a certain point, maybe that filter got me to a certain point. But then if I couldn't let go of that to really
Right.
explore outside of that, that's just really empowering. That's just really exciting to hear.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I
I
just
used to race up and down those streets in a 55 Buick, by the way.
in Bellevue.
State. There was nothing there at the time. Right?
Yeah, I know.
73, nothing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And even in Seattle, when I lived in Seattle, and I used to walk downtown Second Avenue, no problem, no worries, nothing. Would never do that today. Well, let's see here. I just so appreciate your time. I mean, I know you're so busy, and you took out some time today to carve out to share with your successes. And I really admire who you are for the community of Whatcom County and beyond. I mean, like I know you sell houses from all over the place, so
Yeah.
I just think it's just really an admirable profession, and I just think it's just incredible to be able to take your time and carve out and talk to our listeners today about success habits and just yeah. Is there
Hey,
anything?
I've got to thank you so very much for those kind words. And I just want whoever's listening to say, Becky and Larry are awesome,
Mhm.
sincere, hardworking, wonderful people. And if you have a chance to interact with them, I would jump at it.
I might edit that out. No, I'm teasing. Thank you very much. That was very awesome. Yeah, and I just appreciate you guys listening today, and just maybe take some time and think about what would you write to your senior self and your 10 years ago self, and what would that be for 10 years from now? And it's just kind of like a little dream board thing on what you can expect for your future. And yeah, so healthy habits. I think another thing I've learned from you today is that every day, those 10 names, make those 10 calls or 20 names you said. And yeah, get a system down and stick to it. Because when I tend to be that creative thing, when it doesn't seem to be working so well, it's really when it's starting to work, right? And to never give up. And I tend to change it up and go over here, and then I go over here, and then everything, nothing's really that consistent.
And then out of the
Not the
comfort zone.
out of the comfort
Yeah.
zone. That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to go ahead and close the recording here.